So just did there is get my drawer sides so they just fit. Sizing of this is going to be super critical, and if it's too big, you're going to spend a lot of time trimming the top and the bottom, or one or the other. So I have to be critical of this. Now, you can see the size of this imaginary carcass that we're working on. The drawer side material that I've created is more than long enough to get both the right side and the left side plus a little extra, right? So there's enough length here to worry about, or to not have to worry about, I should say. What I want to do before I change the saw setting and start cutting these things down to length, I've got an extra length here that is going to create the back of the drawer. I'm going to use thicker material for the front, so I have all the drawer parts minus the bottom. Before I change the saw setting, I want to cut this down to the exact dimension as the sides. And that way what I'll do when I cut this back to size, I'll have an extra side so that I have an extra part. It's always a good idea. Hopefully you'll never have to use it, but if you do, you've got it. So, all right, everything's set. I'm going to do this cut. Last thing I want to do before I start changing things, same rules apply for the back. So I have this material which I'm going to use for the back or the sides. I've got some options now. But now I need to cut the front piece down to width. Thickness has already been determined. This is where I want to be. I'm right around 3/4, which is great, but I don't want to have to redo this work. So if I can fit this thing into both of these corners, and I could barely do that right now, that is the dimension I want to use. So I'm going to raise up the height of the blade. I'm going to try to raise up the height of the blade. There we go. I'm going to cut this one down. So the widths of all of these have been cut, and I just want to reiterate, the important piece when sizing all of these parts is when doing a runner kicker style drawer is to make sure these just fit. So going in with some resistance, but I don't have a lot of wiggle up and down. I'm going to true that up later on after the drawer gets glued up, but this is the critical piece. I want to start with it the right size now, which is arguably a little bit too big, and I can always take more off. It's going to be a lot harder if I make this too small and then try to resize it by adding more material on. That's never fun. So, alright, now that I've done this, I'm going to reset, and we'll start talking about cutting these things down to appropriate lengths.